The footage for this video was provided courtesy of Nissan Global Service Training. Some of the service tools used in this video are different from those adopted for the North American market, although their purposes are the same. Examples of these tools will be provided where appropriate. As with all service procedures, review details in the service manual before beginning work. Set the power switch to off and open the charge port lid. Place a rag over the charge port latch to prevent the charge port lid from latching. Remove and secure the intelligent key. Disconnect the negative cable and then the positive cable from the 12-volt battery. Cover the battery posts with insulating tape. Remove the floor panel and cover for the service plug. Remove the service plug by first releasing the lock tab and moving the lever upward. Push the secondary latch on the lock lever and rotate the lock lever fully upright to disengage the service plug. Secure the service plug and cover the service plug connector with insulating tape. Wait 10 minutes for all potential voltage to equalize. Remove the right front wheel. Raise the vehicle to proper working height and remove the right front fender protector. Raise the vehicle to full height and remove the front undercover for the lithium-ion battery, and then the motor compartment undercover. Disconnect the control harness to the lithium-ion battery and the high voltage harness to the PTC heater. Cover the PTC harness connectors with insulating tape. Release the harness clip for the high voltage harness in front of the lithium-ion battery. Disconnect the high voltage harness at the lithium-ion battery. Use an appropriate meter to check for any residual voltage between both terminals of the high voltage harness. The meter reading should be 5 volts or less. Cover the high voltage connector with insulating tape. Release the harness clip from the bracket at the rear of the suspension member and remove the bracket. Remove the acoustic insulating plate attached to the rear of the inverter. Unbolt the high voltage harness bracket. Reposition the high voltage harness from the lithium-ion battery inside the suspension member. Remove the drain plug from the radiator. Lower the vehicle and remove the cap from the reservoir bottle. Drain the coolant from the high voltage system. Once the system is drained, reinstall the radiator drain plug. Remove both front wiper arms. Remove the 4 cowl top cover retaining clips by spreading the center of the clip and pulling towards the front of the vehicle. Remove the 2 retaining clips at either end of the cowl top cover and remove the cowl top cover. Disconnect the windshield washer hose at the cowl top cover. Remove the 3 6mm bolts that retain the front wiper drive assembly. Disconnect the wiper motor harness from the wiper motor. Remove the harness clip and remove the front wiper drive assembly. Disconnect the fuse and relay box from the cowl top extension. Remove the 6 retainer bolts and remove the cowl top extension. Protect the lower edge of the windshield with cardboard or foam core to prevent damage. Remove the retaining clips and remove the upper radiator grille. Remove the retaining clips and then remove the charge port cover from the vehicle. Remove the retaining nuts for the fast charge port and the normal charge port. Be sure to prevent the charge port lid from latching. Remove the actuator for the charge connector lock. Disconnect the clamp for the normal charge port harness from the lock actuator bracket. Unclip and disconnect the interlock harness connector for the normal charge port. Disconnect the quick charge port harness clamp from the bracket and reposition it to the right. Carefully reposition the normal charge port harness to the motor compartment area to prevent damage. Disconnect the interlock harness connector for the quick charge port and release the retainer attachment clip from the charge port bracket. Reposition the quick charge port and interlock harness connector into the motor compartment area to prevent damaging the harness. Remove the bolt that retains the negative battery cable bracket to the power delivery module. Remove the bolt that secures the negative battery cable end to the power delivery module and position the cable out of the way. Remove the nut that retains the positive battery cable to the output terminal of the power delivery module and reposition the cable out of the way. Remove the 2 bolts that secure the charge port harness bracket to the inverter assembly. Disconnect the fuse, fusible link, and relay box 1 from the bracket by the 12-volt battery. Disconnect the cooling system outlet hose from the PDM outlet fitting. Cap the PDM outlet and plug the water hose to prevent leaking onto the inverter. Disconnect the cooling system inlet hose to the PDM at the right front corner. Cap the inlet fitting and plug the inlet hose to prevent leaking. Remove the bus bar cover located below the positive battery cable terminal on the side of the PDM. Carefully remove the bolts that secure the inverter bus bar to the PDM terminals. Disconnect the harness clip for the normal charge port harness from the harness bracket at the rear of the PDM. Disconnect the reducer breather retainer clip from the harness bracket. Remove the 2 bolts that retain the control harness bracket to the right side of the PDM. Disconnect the control harness at the PDM, rotating it counterclockwise. Remove the protector plate for the high voltage harness connector on the air conditioner compressor assembly. This will require a Torx T40 socket. Disconnect the high voltage harness connector at the AC compressor. Cover the AC compressor connector and the harness connector with insulating tape. Loosen completely, but do not remove the 3 compressor mounting bolts. Start with the upper mounting bolt first, then the rear lower mounting bolt second, finally the front lower mounting bolt. Support the AC compressor so that it does not strain the AC lines or interfere with PDM removal. Remove the 3 bolts on the right side of the PDM that secure the PDM to the inverter. Remove the 3 bolts on the left side of the PDM that secure it to the inverter. Install the 3 PDM guide pins by hand into the holes for the bolts you just removed. The 2 96mm guide pins should be installed in the left and right front bolt holes. The 106mm guide pin should be installed in the left rear bolt hole. Attach the right side and left side sling brackets to the PDM using the sling bracket mating points. Attach the loops of the sling to the sling brackets using D-rings from the EV toolkit. Attach an engine hoist to the sling. Reposition the high voltage harness from the lithium-ion battery across the top of the PDM. Secure the harness to the PDM using insulating tape. Secure the normal charge port harness to the quick charge port harness using insulating tape. Remove the bolts securing the cooling system reservoir to the core support. Secure the cooling system reservoir out of the way. Slowly lift the PDM from its mating surface on the inverter. Gently rock the PDM while raising the hoist to prevent damaging the bus bar gasket. Take care not to bend or damage the bus bar terminals to the inverter. When the PDM has been lifted sufficiently for the guide pins to clear the inverter, remove the guide pins. Carefully remove the PDM from the vehicle and place it on a suitable surface. Set the power delivery module on foam or wooden blocks to prevent damaging the inverter mating surface. The following procedures describe internal repairs to the power delivery module. The only serviceable components in the PDM are the high voltage harnesses. You must wear anti-static or dissipative gloves when completing these procedures to prevent circuit damage from static discharge. Carefully remove any dust or debris from the PDM cover and lower housing to prevent contamination of internal components. Remove the cover retainer bolts for the PDM beginning at the right front corner and working counterclockwise around the perimeter. Carefully pry the cover from the PDM. Use precautions such as covering the tips of the prying tools with tape to prevent damaging the cover mating surfaces. Lift the cover straight from the PDM housing. Take care not to contact any of the internal circuitry. Immediately after removing the PDM cover, install the protective cover of heavy paper or light cardboard to prevent entry of dust or dirt into the circuit board section. Remove and replace the damaged component. Carefully tighten all bus bar and harness retainer bolts to specifications. Use an acrylic scraper to remove the formed-in-place gasket material from the PDM cover and housing. Do not use a metal scraper, parts cleaner, or gasket remover. Do not use compressed air to remove debris. The protective cover should remain in place during gasket material removal. Use alcohol and a lint-free cloth to remove any oily residue from the mating surfaces. Apply 3-bond 1217 or equivalent type liquid gasket to the PDM housing mating surface. The bead of liquid gasket should be approximately 3.4 to 4.4 millimeters wide. The sealer should overlap the beveled inside edge of the mating surface by 1.3 millimeters. The ends of the sealer bead should overlap by 10 to 15 millimeters. Remove the protective cover and install the PDM cover carefully. Lower the cover straight down onto the housing. Install the retaining bolts for the PDM cover and tighten by hand. Then tighten the securing bolts to 89 inch-pounds using the order shown in the service manual. Before installing the PDM, remove the plug at the back of the PDM housing. Install the pressure testing adapter into the test port. Position the PDM over the inverter and install the guide pins in the appropriate locations. Carefully lower the PDM into place on the inverter. Remove the guide pins and complete the installation in reverse order of disassembly. Take extra care not to damage the bus bar terminals to the inverter.